Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. Hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful week. Things here, Baruch Hashem, are going great. Winter is upon us. The weather's getting a little bit cold. We just came off of Shabbaton in Tzfat, where my shir and Rav Herschel's shir spent Shabbos together in the mansion up in Tzfat. An unbelievable, unbelievable Shabbos. We have a Negev Tiyul towards the end of the week, and things, Baruch Hashem, are moving along great in Yeshiva. I wanted to share with you a short thought. I wasn't sure exactly what to talk about, but I'm going to pick on a very, very enigmatic set of psukim, perhaps some of the most confusing psukim in the entire Chumash. In Parshat Vayishlach, we have this mysterious battle between Yaakov Avinu and what is referred to by Chazal as Saro Shel Esav, as the Malach, as this mysterious Ish. And what exactly is going on over here, not entirely clear. I just looked at the Kli Yakar. He says, Rabu HaMefarshim, so many different interpretations, what exactly is going on. But I want to focus on one pasuk. The Torah tells us that Yaakov Avinu took his family, they crossed Ma'avar Yabok, his kids, his wives, etc. Then he crossed over again, Vayavireim es hanacha vaya'aver es hashelo, Vayivater Yaakov levado, and Yaakov finds himself all by himself, all alone, Vayavek ish imo ad alos hashachar, and there is this mysterious battle ad alos hashachar until the morning. My focus here is the notion of Vayivater Yaakov levado. He's all by himself. And I'd like to speak a little bit and address a little bit this idea of being by yourself, of being alone. There's a very, very stunning medrash. The medrash is found in Bereishis Rabbah. On this pasuk, it's in Parsha Ayin Zayin. I'll read to you a few snippets, a few lines of the medrash. On this pasuk, Vayivater Yaakov levado, Vayavek ishimo, the Medrash says, Ein ka'el yeshurun, quoting the pasuk of V'zos HaBracha, and there's no one like Hashem and like Yeshurun and like Klal Yisrael. There's some unique relationship between Hashem and Yeshurun, and they each in some way have features or qualities that link to each other. Atamotze, kol ma shakadosh baruch hu asid la'asos v'asid lavo, everything Hashem is going to do in the future, higdim v'asa al yidei hatzadikim be'olam hazeh. Tzaddikim did in this world first. First we acted, tzaddikim of Klal Yisrael acted, and then Hashem did it, will do it l'asid lavo. So for example, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mechai Mesim, Eliyahu Mechai Mesim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Otzer B'Shamim, Eliyahu Otzer B'Shamim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mevarech Es Amuat, Eliyahu Mevarech Es Amuat. So Hashem mimics the works of the tzaddikim in this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mechai HaMesim, Elisha Mechai HaMesim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Poked Akaros, Elisha Poked Akaros. Hashem helps Akaros have children, so too Nevi'im did that, etc., etc. And then the end of the Medrash says, V'niskav Hashem levado, quotes a pasuk in Yeshaya Hanavi, V'niskav Hashem, Hashem is exalted in his levado, in his aloneness, Af Yaakov, so to Yaakov, Vayivater Yaakov levado. He too is first exalted in his aloneness. What exactly is the Medrash saying? Very, very striking. Because after all, the first part of the Medrash that I read, and I skipped a few lines, is all referring to miracles. Tchias HaMesim, Poked Akaros, creating from very little, tremendous bounty. Here, all of a sudden, what's the big miracle? What's so special about aloneness? Hashem is alone in the heavens, and so too, Vayivater Yaakov levado. What is this value of aloneness? So one thought I saw in the Sefer Emes Yaakov is, and this is, I'm using as a foil, not the direction I want to go, but I think it's an interesting thought, an interesting idea, is that we are all products of environment. We all feed off our environment. And perhaps the most risky state of all is when you're by yourself. A lot of times when we're in a kehila, a strong kehila, whether it's a yeshiva, a shul, a community, so we're with other people, everyone is mechazek each other. Everyone strengthens each other. Sometimes when you retire to the privacy of your aloneness, just you with yourself. So sometimes we can slip, we can fall, we can do sins that we wouldn't do if people were watching us, if we were with other people, if we were around others. And therefore, this is a compliment, a unique compliment to Yaakov Avinu, because there's a vulnerability when you're not part of a kehila. There's a vulnerability when you're not with others. And Yaakov is facing that vulnerability, when he has this battle with Sarah Shel Esav, his Yetzer Hara, all by himself, where people so naturally can slip. So Yaakov is heroic in his battle. He fights, he conquers, he defeats. And it is, just like all of these other cases, are miraculous. So Yaakov also is acting in a heroic and miraculous way in overcoming his Yetzer Hara, overcoming that sorrow Shel Esav that we have inside of all of us. And therefore, just like Hashem is, if you will, in his aloneness, is unique, is Kulo Tov, so to Yaakov, heroic, miraculous in overcoming this drive that he has inside of him, that we all have inside of us. And it's also an ace. That too is an ace, and that's why it's part of this litany of Nisim, where we do something, and that in a certain sense precedes what Hashem does in the future. And that's what Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky writes. That's why we memorialize this event with Gid Hanasheh, which establishes an Isser Achila, which requires us to always, if you will, bond with each other in how we eat and so forth. We link to fellow members of Klal Yisrael in our diets. That's what the kashrus laws perhaps are all about, and therefore focuses us on our communal responsibilities, on our communal activities to get strength from that. And perhaps that is one aspect of these psukim. But I'd like to focus on perhaps the exact opposite idea. You see, I think there's something very, very special in being alone, something unique in being alone. And perhaps we live in a society where we're so rarely by ourselves. We're always involved with other people. And technology has certainly brought that to the fore. We're never by ourselves. We're always connected. And on some level, that does not allow us always to be exactly who we want to be. And in moments of real growth, I think that requires sometimes doing battle with your inner self, with the Vayivater Yaakov Levado, being by yourself. Because when you're by yourself, you have the opportunity to think, to reflect, to figure out who you really want to be, who you really are. And I think that, at least on a metaphorical level, on an allegorical level, maybe that's what's going on in these psukim. Yaakov is doing this battle with this mysterious sorrow Shel Esav. We don't know who he is, if this really is an other, or if this is really something very, very internal. But it's something dramatic is happening, because Yaakov, through this process, is going from Yaakov, a lowly name, a name that represents a heel, to Yisrael, a very, very exalted name. In fact, Rav Asher Weiss points out that there's a hint, a remez, to each of the avos and the imachos in the name Yisrael. The Yud, of course, is Yitzchak and Yaakov. The Sin is Sarah, the Reish, Rivka and Rachel, the Aleph, Avram, and the Lamed is Leah. So all of the kochos of the avos and imachos are embedded in the name Yisrael. Ki sarit im Elokim ve'im anashim atuchal, that Yaakov, in a certain sense, finds himself in his aloneness and becomes exalted, becomes elevated, becomes something very, very unique. All too often we do not have the time, the space to introspect, to reflect, to think. And even when we are by ourselves, so to speak, so often we're plugged in. We're listening to something, we're listening to music, we're watching something, we're hearing something, we're texting someone. We're very rarely by ourselves. That's what on Rosh Hashanah we find that Chazal tell us we stand in judgment before Hashem kivnei maron, and the Gemara tells us, what does B'nei Maron mean? We're not exactly sure what that means. But there's three possibilities. One is as a sheep passes in front of the person who's counting the sheep, one by one. Second possibility is travelers that are traveling on a very narrow path have to travel one by one. Third possibility is soldiers that stand before the king, and he's evaluating them one by one. But the point being, in each of these examples of what exactly it means, Kivnei Maron, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah identifies that we stand as one. We stand, yes, we're certainly community people, but we stand in a certain sense on our own, by ourselves, and we have to have that strength, that internal fortitude, strength, to be able to stand by alone, to be comfortable in solitude, to be comfortable in aloneness, because sometimes the most cathartic type of growth can really happen when you're alone. That gives you the space to think and figure out what you're all about, who you are. I will share with you something I saw online. Rav David Gottlieb has a discussion of this idea of the difference between loneliness and aloneness. Loneliness sometimes is a depressing thing, it's an unhealthy feeling, but aloneness sometimes can be very, very healthy. And he quotes a book called Solitude, A Return to Self. And there he cites a story of a person named Admiral Byrd. And Admiral Byrd single-handedly manned an advanced weather base in Antarctica during the winter of 1934 in Antarctica. Byrd kept a diary in which he recounts that he actually insisted on doing it alone. He was not looking to escape or run away from any difficult personal situation. He describes his personal situation as being incredibly happy. So why did he volunteer to such an assignment? He writes that it was just one man's desire to know that kind of experience to the full, to be by himself for a while and to taste peace and quiet and solitude long enough to find out how good they really are. I wanted something more than just privacy in the geographical sense. I wanted to sink roots into some replenishing philosophy. And I would suggest that Yaakov Avinu, in this passing over the Ma'avar Yabok, being by himself and confronting the sorrow shalesa, whatever that might be, is a person confronting himself. And all too often, we don't give ourselves the space to do that. I tell Talmidim all the time, spend 1 minute a day. That's all it takes. 1 minute a day by yourself, unplugged, just thinking about your day. How often do we really think? We're always walking around plugged in. The second we walk into a car, put on our seatbelt, turn on the ignition, and on goes the radio. On goes something to distract us. We're in the bathroom. We have something to read, something to focus on, something to look at. We need to spend a little bit of time by ourselves. Vayivater Yaakov levado. To think, not to be lonely, chas v'shalom, but to be alone. And sometimes when you're alone and you reflect and you focus on where you want to be, the direction, you think 1 minute a day, how did my day go? What can I do better tomorrow? How can I improve myself? Can make a tremendous amount of difference. Sometimes it hurts, by the way. It's not always pain-free. Yaakov Avinu, as a result of Vayivater Yaakov levado, walks around with a limp. But something dramatic is going on. And that's why the event is memorialized with the prohibition of Gid Hanashe. We remember this for the rest of time. Something dramatic is going on. We're tapping into something much bigger than ourselves. We're transforming from Yaakov to Yisrael, tapping into the koach of the avos and the mahos. Give yourselves that opportunity. It doesn't have to be much time, 1 minute a day. But that minute a day could be mamish, transformational. Give yourself the space. It'll help you a great deal.